Well, today I'm going to be playing with some fabrics and we're going to make these lovely fabric flips. So pull out your fabrics, pull out your laces and even pull out your stamps and let's get into it. Hello, it's Trini here. How are you all? Welcome back to my craft table. Well, it's that time of the week again where I randomly just select 2 packets from my unfinished projects and I work my way through them. We decide what it is we're going to make. So I've just randomly pulled 2. I don't have many left, so I hope it's just been a great little series. I hope you've been enjoying it, but it's definitely, for me, I've been working my way through some projects. So let's have a look what we've got. Okay, so it looks like I've got some, yes, I do recall this. This is some scraps that just had a little bit of tea bag paper with just those ends, and then I thought it would be nice to just layer those with some dried flowers that I've got, and it looks like this one is going to be fabric flips, so I liked the idea of these. Okay, let me grab some supplies and we'll get started. Okay, so I went through all my fabric bits and these are kind of like I've got in a trolley. They're like my loose bits of fabric, and I have kind of coordinated some fabrics and a little bit of lace or doily, whatever, to come up with 5 fabric flips. I have got these 2 wonderful piles here, which one will be a bunny and one will be Easter. We'll do one of those. This one's going to be my bee themed one. I thought those colours would go well. And this will be the autumn one. So we'll do those. And this is going to be the botanical one. So what I'm going to do is we'll push these to the side. I'm going to make I think around about 4.5 inches. And I think the length I'll make about 6 inches. Now these fabric bits here, I actually got these off Amazon. You can buy these, they're 8 inches by 8 inches, and you can buy like stacks of them. If I can find a listing, I will link it in the description below, but you get a nice, maybe 50 packs. I'm assuming that they're still available, and you can get lovely different coordinated fabrics, and that's a really good option for journals when you want a range of fabrics that you need to choose from. I'm going to measure the 4-inch, which is roughly about half. That's about here, and that'll give me a nice piece for something else. And then we want it to be about 6 inches. Let's cut it about there. There we go. All right, so that's going to be my base piece. So let's fray this up really nicely. Straighten it all out again. I think I'm going to be covered in strings by the end of this. Okay, so just those little long wispy bits there, I just snipped them just to neaten it back up. All right, so that can be our base piece, and then this can now be used like somewhere else. But I might hold on to these pieces because when I actually come to do the journal, I'll use these pieces throughout the journal. So I'll just put those over to a side there. All right, so now we've got this one here. Actually, that piece seems to be a little bit smaller, so we'll go with this one. So we'll cut that one as well. All right, that seems a little bit better. All right, it's okay. We'll use the other pieces in the journal, so that won't go to waste. Then we'll get this piece here and we'll just cut it slightly smaller. So using my piece there, I think I'll just come up here and tear, and then I'll have to, well, I don't really want to lose the tail of that little bird there because we can use that in another piece. So I'll just come across here. All right, so let's go like that, and then we've got our little piece of lace. And I actually don't want to lose the little bird there, so I think what I might do is just, I use this piece. Yeah, I like that, and we'll get a little bit of that flower there, so I'll just cut that across there like so. So I'll sew these all up and we can have a look at these at the end. All right, so that's going to be that, and then I'm just going to sew across, but we need to put a nice trim. All right, so let's clip that one. All right, and these pieces we can now fold up nicely, and they're going to go in with my collection for this particular journal, so we can now use these pieces throughout. I might have to use that somewhere else, so we'll just keep that to a side. All right, so we'll do the same. We'll cut this one in half. It's almost like a bit of a mess make, isn't it? All right, so let me just measure my piece. So yeah, it's 8 inches, so 4 inches is that line there. And then I want to make it about 6 inches. All right, so I'll just pull my threads, just get that nice little bit of ripped edge. And then I've got this piece here. So a lot of this fabric, like I said, I picked that up from Amazon, those little squares, but a lot of this fabric I've literally gone to thrift shops and found fragments of fabric, and you know, I've also done things like I've gone to Gumtree when other crafters have done destashes, and I've picked up some nice fabric bits that way as well. And the other thing I've also done is my local scrapbooking store. I used to go in there and wander through and look at all their fabrics, and then I would buy like 1/2 meter of their fabric, which is possibly what this piece is here. I would think about, you know, the types of journals that I would like to make, and, you know, like small little patterns like that. And yeah, I just sort of thought about colours, about themes, and I would just buy half a meter. All right, so I think I'll just come across there. Yes, it's so nice to start using all my supplies and, you know, what I've originally had in mind to make with these. Now I think I wanted to use this, didn't I? So I think I might just come in under here and just cut across up here. So there's no hemming, there's no ironing, although I did notice some of my lacy bits have kind of crumpled up a little bit, so I think I might wet those down and just sort of dry them off and maybe iron them again just to straighten them up a little bit. All right, we'll move that one over that side there, and then we can have that like so. I'll just do all right, so that's 2 done. So what I think I would also do is I've got this lovely bee stamp, for example, so I think I might get a little piece of muslin and stamp a bee image and put that over the top. All right, so let's do this one. So this will be the same. We can cut this one in half. I think that might be the better orientation actually. All right, so we'll just pop those up there so I don't forget to do the stamping, because sometimes that can happen. You can get so busy doing everything you forget, oh, that's right, I was going to stamp then. Okay, so we'll cut that one here. Okay, and then we'll do the 6-inch, which will be here. Right, and then this piece here. Yes, I think these ones I got from my local scrapbooking store, because that looks like, it's probably not 1/2 meter, but it looks like I've bought a portion. Right. So I think I'll just come here. Fabric here, it's so sweet. It's got like a little pear, flower, it's got like a stag, butterflies, chicken. This would be good actually in a recipe. It's got a little bunny there. This would be good in a recipe journal, I think, too. Okay, so these little loose bits I just end up cutting. When I had fabric, I was selling scraps of fabric, because I would go to thrift shops and find a whole bunch, and it would be way too much for me, what I would need. So then what I would do is I would literally wash the fabric, and then I would, you know, iron it and starch it, all that sort of stuff. Yes, I used to starch it to keep it nice and, you know, stiff and straight. And then I would, you know, bundle it up. Yeah, it was just such a lovely, I really enjoyed doing that. Nice way to share, you know, my little finds. And you know, you don't need a lot, as you can see. You know, you make a fabric flip and you only need this little square. So we've got that and that, and then so I might do that in the middle, and then we've got this little piece here. So what I might do is actually we'll do it like that, and then we'll show that peeking under. So we only need a little bit of that. All right, so we can layer that. I might just take a little bit off the bottom here. So all the leftover little snippet bits we can end up, ooh, did I cut that too short? I think it'll be okay. Well, what I could do is I could just take a little bit off the top here. And that way we get a little bit of variation with the lengths there. Okay, so that's that one. That's such a big piece that I think what I'll do, I've got that piece and that piece. Yeah, I think I'll put the rest back, because I could use that. I think, as I say, I'll use that in like a recipe journal or something else. All right, so we've got the fabric choices here for an autumn journal. I would like to use this piece. These were some old napkins that I found that I really like the colours. So I love this piece. It doesn't really go. Let's have a look. Yeah, maybe that one. This looks like some batik fabric. I'm not sure. I kind of feel the batiks will kind of have to work themselves together. Like the batiks, I'll keep them together. I sort of like that actually. But I love this. I love the green roses on this. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe what I'll do is layer this and this together, and the green again. I think I'll do those together. All right, so let me cut this one down. Yeah, this one's a bit bigger, so this one's going to need to be, let me see if I can center it in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. So that would be about half. And then we'll make this about the 6-inch mark, which would be about here. Okay, so we've got that piece there. And then I'll just cut this one. Now if we'll have to layer this one. So I think we can do it like that. So I'll just cut that piece there. Like that. And we'll just have that coming in a little bit. And then we'll have this piece here. So I would like to get those roses in definitely. So let's take this bit here. So I think if we cut, let me just mark that. Yep, so if we cut here, all right, so that way we got those lovely roses in. And then I think I'll just come underneath that green rose there. That'll give us some nice pieces to work with, clusters or something like that. All right, so right, that's that one there. So how many have we got? We've got 4 now, so we might as well do them all, and then that way it's a finished project, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's a finish our projects day. All right, so now we're working with this one. Now these are very similar patterns, but this has got more of a green background, so but I love this. So I think this I'm going to use on the bottom. So I think that's the right way there. So is that, let's have a look. That is, I've got to take an inch. It's not even really square, I don't think. So if we cut that just about there. Lovely. And this one, I think I remember I found this in a thrift shop. And then we'll just get that piece just up there. Okay. All right, and this lovely piece, I love this one. I love the colours. I think that's what it is. It's the colours. All right. This will make a lovely journal cover as well, I think. All right. So let's just cut that piece here. And then we're going to just need there we go. This will be pretty in a bunny journal or an Easter journal. I almost wonder if this is actually a piece of bedding sheet. All right, and then I was going to put a piece of this. I'm just thinking I might just do a trim across the top there. I don't want it to look too shabby chic. That's not really what I'm going for. I could do that, or I could just put a little strip. That looks pretty. So let me just fix this, and I think we can do that like that. All right, so I have got all my fabric bits cut. So I think what we'll do is we'll go and find some trim, or I might end up doing a little stamp across the top. So let me go and have a look at my trims and we'll see what we can find. Okay, so I found some muslin cloth. So I thought what I would do is cut this muslin cloth into 4 pieces and stamp. Hopefully the stamps will fit. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I've got other muslin somewhere. But, probably should have checked before I cut. Let me have a look. All right, so looks like I haven't even opened this one yet. Oh, that's lovely. That will fit perfectly. So I thought what I would do is just like on this piece here, for example, let me find, I don't know if the rubber will, oh yeah, that seems to work. All right, so I'm going to use some Stays On. That's the jet black one. Okay. I'm going to try and avoid getting any outside edges. All right, let's see if we can get this. Get my little pressure, little plug tool thing. Oh yes, happy with that. All right, so that can go on here. We'll just well, actually I've also pulled out some, let me just put the lid on that so I don't accidentally scrape my fingers or some fabric across that. So I just pulled out just a little bit of you know, lace here. So let's have a look. What we'll do is, I think if we put a little piece of lace across like so. So let me cut a piece. I'll cut it slightly bigger. We can always trim it afterwards. All right, so I think we can go like that. And then, but what I'll do is as I'm sewing, oh yes, I'll do it that way. Yeah, I think we'll do it like that. All right, so let's put those pieces together. All right, so this one is going to be the Easter one. So yeah, we might need a bigger piece for that. Okay, ink this one up. Okay. Oh yeah, that's so cute. So cute. All right, so we can put that little piece there like that. And I don't know, maybe we will. No, I think it does look better having that down there like that. But I am going to have to stitch, which means that we may need to put another piece. Oh yeah, that'll look all right. Okay, so let me cut that. Alright, so that's that one. So let's do another bunny one. Now we want the owl, which I thought we would do for the autumn one. So will that fit? Well, that may just fit. May just, yes. Okay, so let's stamp that one. Now this one's got a rubber backing that doesn't seem to want to stick, so this is going to be interesting. It won't stick onto my acrylic block, so all right, that's nicely inked up. So I think what I'll do is I'll carefully place it down, then I'll put the acrylic block on. I'll put the lid on that because I just don't want to accidentally smudge my side of my palm into it, and then I'll just press to try and get a really good imprint. All right, let's see how this one has turned out. Oh yes, lovely. Okay, so that one can go on here, and then we'll get some so I'm not sure quite yet what I might do. I don't know. What do you think? I sort of feel that it needs to... See, I can't do it like that because then it's going to get covered. So I'll have to come on the side maybe. So I'll stitch across there. Maybe I might have to hand stitch, or just... Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe what I'll have to do is stitch it like that and maybe do a bit of a zigzag, or see if I've got a decorative stitch that I can use, and then I'll just run a strip across. All right, so that's that one. So then let's do the bunny one again. Now this one did seem to, yeah, this one's okay. This one will fit on my acrylic block. Okay. All right, so that one's done. Cut a little piece of lace so that can go across there. So they go there like that. So let me now find a piece. Actually, I think I've got some muslin strips just up here. There we go. Oh, even perfect. All right, so this one I'm going to have to do this on this orientation. So is this going to stick? No, this is going to be another one that doesn't stick onto my acrylic block. So let me ink this one up. I think I've got some spare paper that I can back these with, so I'll just have to see if I've still got that somewhere. Pretty sure I do. Oh yeah, there it is. I can see it. So I will definitely have to back these. Alright. So what I do is I just check where that little bit of ink has come on the edges. I just kind of wipe that just to avoid getting, you know, that edge stamped, because you don't want that. All right, so I think we'll just do that to the side. Oh no, we'll do it in the middle because I don't really want to have to tear a little strip off the side. All right, and then we'll just apply some pressure. All right, so let's see what we got. Oh, it's a bit faint. I think it's still okay though. I think we can still use it. Let me see. Yeah, I think that will be fine. If anything, it just adds to the vintage look in my opinion. Okay, so that'll be like that. And then we can add that little bit there. And then we'll just get another piece of lace. All right, so now that we've got all of that, let me clear up and I'll see if I can bring the sewing machine in and we'll get these all sewn up. Okay, so hopefully I've got you at a pretty good angle here. Let's stitch this. I'll just do a bit of a reverse. Yep, we managed to get that straight. So now I'll just stitch across the top. All right, so that's our first one done. So I'll just snip that bit off there. You're not really going to be able to see that, but there it is there. We'll just continue on and I will now stitch all of them and then I'll show you when we're finished. Okay, so that is the fabric flips finished now from my unfinished project. So I'll just hold it up to the screen for you so you can have a look. That's the autumn one that'll go in the autumn themed journal. And these two here, one will go into an Easter journal and the other one will go into a bunny journal. This one here will go into the bee themed journal and this one here will go into the botanical themed journal. So I hope you've enjoyed these little projects and it's given you some inspiration to pull out your fabrics and give it a go. So now I'm going to move on and this will be part 2, which I'll release midweek. But I'm going to have a little play with these. So you can see I've pulled out some tea bag paper and it's got me thinking with dried flowers what we can do with these. So stay tuned, midweek that will be released. So guys, that's it for me for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, it would be great if you could consider subscribing. And if you've got any comments, please feel free to leave them below and I do answer all comments. So guys, that's it for another video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.